Hey, everybody, this is Eric Mishi, SAVE Executive Director, Suicide Awareness, Voices of Education. We're having a lot of great conversations here today about suicide awareness, what each of us can do to help save a life, what we can do to talk about mental health and support one another. And I am thrilled to have this next conversation with Velvet Dostal, who is the promoter at Redwood Speedway, where they got something kind of cool coming up this Sunday. And I wanted to make sure we had a chance to kind of talk about it and learn a little bit more about the Speedway and kind of why it's important for this event that they've got coming up. And so, first of all, thanks for joining us today, Velvet.
Thanks for having me.
So before we get going, a little bit of background on you. What's your connection here with the Speedway? What got you involved with that?
I've been, when I was a kid, my dad would take me to the races. And then when I became an adult, I lived in a town that had a racetrack. And then somehow I ended up working at there and then began promoting another speedway in Brainerd called North Central Speedway a couple of years ago. And then Redwood Speedway had been dormant for almost 3 years, and we decided that we wanted to open it back up again.
Very cool. So so I don't have a big background in racing, although my wife, her dad brought her every year that she can remember to Road America, to that track. And my kids over the last, who are now 23 and 21, have become avid followers of F1 and IndyCar, and every year for the last half a dozen years, we've all gone together to Road America. So talk a little bit. I think they call the Speedway the Big House. Is that right?
Yep.
So why do they call it the Big House, and what kind of racing goes on at this track?
We have dirt track racing, and the reason that they call it the Big House is because our track is huge. It's a large half-mile track. Generally, the dirt tracks are a quarter mile to 3/8 mile. There's a couple in our area that are this big, but this one is it's big. So we race with a sanction called IMCA, which is a pretty big sanction out of Iowa. And we have 5 classes of that. And then we have a local sanction as well called Wasota that we race 1 class of theirs. They're modified race cars. Some of them look like actual cars. Some of them don't.
Some of them don't. If they don't look like cars? What do they look like?
Well, they're the modified, so they have different panels on them, and they just look different.
Okay. And I'm going to be there this Sunday, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. And so I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to learning more about that. But so what is kind of the top speed that the cars are getting at here?
A lot of them, since this track is so big, they do reach up into the high 80s. I would guess that there's probably ones that hit close to 100. I mean, it is on dirt, so it's like you're driving on a dirt road really fast with corners. It is smoother than a dirt road most of the time, but it is dirt, so nature plays a big part in that. But on the straightaways, they get up in the high 80s a lot. They don't have speedometers, so we kind of have to guess with their RPMs, but and then how long it takes them to get around that half mile, which is a lot of times it's like 17 to 18 seconds. Sometimes it's 22 seconds. Just depends on the class. Some of them are faster.
So I remember driving on dirt roads in small towns in North Dakota. Mm-hmm. And 80 miles an hour on a dirt road is pretty darn fast.
And scary.
It's scary. And that's on a straightaway.
Yep.
This is an oval track, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that 80 miles an hour on an oval dirt track probably feels like it's 2 or 3 times that fast.
So. Oh, yeah. Sometimes I'm in the water truck with my husband and we're going 30 and I'm like, can you slow down? So I don't know how they do it, but that's why I promote it and they race it.
That's why you promote it and they race it.
Yep.
That's a good motto. So you had reached out to us to share with us. It's something that you're doing on Sunday, and so let's talk about that, because September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. This week for SAVE, we've been having conversations with a lot of different folks about a lot of different issues related to suicide prevention. But one of the things that kind of keeps coming back time and time again is that in order for us to be successful in trying to prevent suicide and save lives, getting the community involved, right? You don't have to be an expert to know how to help save somebody's life, right?
Right.
Sometimes it's just being willing to have a conversation and to talk about it. And so let's talk a little bit about what you've got coming up on Sunday and why it is you decided to do this.
Well, the topic of suicide always seems a little bit taboo. So it is something, like, my husband had a few friends that have taken their own lives, and he's very passionate about trying to help them before they get to that point. So he wanted to do something to raise awareness. And then upon talking about it a little bit more, I have a racer that's his best friend took his own life the week before graduation. And so him and his family have been really passionate about us doing this as well, to try and help people just understand, like, signs and how to just talk to people and keep them feeling welcome and hoping that you can make a difference in somebody's life. So I ended up finding out, like, through talking about it at the racetrack, one of our guys who takes tickets for me, he himself is a survivor, and so he's really excited to meet your organization and anyone else that can talk and also tell his story. So
yeah, and I will tell you, I got to tell you, I was really pleased to get your email. I was excited to have this conversation with you, because we need to have these conversations everywhere, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's important for people to remember that you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a psychiatrist or a psychologist to have conversations with people about suicide. And when you think about suicide and you think about the stigma, right, that people aren't comfortable talking about it,
Right.
Having the ability to have conversations in what I would say sometimes maybe the unlikeliest of places, like at a racetrack, really is a gift for those of us who work in this space, because that's not the kind of conversation that you might necessarily think is going to take place in the middle of a speedway.
Right. One thing I have found out too is a lot of racers do use racing as an outlet. So perhaps they're struggling with their own health or mental health, and they take to racing so that's what they do, and we're their friends. We mean a lot to them. They come to us every week, and we get to know them pretty well throughout the summer. So.
Yeah. So the event is on Sunday, and what time does it start? What time do doors open?
The gates open. I'm sorry, I have two racetracks, so it gets a little tricky.
That's okay.
The gates open at 4, and then the anthem is at 5:30, and the races start pretty close to after that. Okay. So we have been off for 2 weeks, so hopefully they'll start pretty close to on time. But sometimes the track is a little tricky. It looks good right now, though, so we should be fine. And then I know I have a couple of people who want to speak with the announcer as well, just regarding their experiences. Like I was talking about my ticket kid, he wants to go up and just talk about his experience and thank the people that helped him and helped him through everything and whatnot. So I'm hoping to welcome some more people up to the announcer to maybe share their story, maybe share a memory of their loved one or a happy ending of their loved one too, like a savior, whatever. I don't know how to say that, I'm sorry. But like the kid I was talking about, his is a happy outcome because he's still here with us. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is oftentimes people say, well, I don't know what to say, and I'm uncomfortable, and you know, um, we talk a lot about what's called safe messaging, right? We talk about, when you talk about suicide, don't talk about means, don't talk about method and things like that, right? Because it's important to talk about the person rather than the suicide itself, right?
Right.
But one of the things that's also really important is, just talking about it at all is extremely important, right? The 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 willingness to say the word suicide at a racetrack, right, in a
Right.
PA system, that's an important thing, right? To be willing to talk about what are ways that we can all work together to try to save a life and prevent suicide. You don't have to be perfect at it. You don't have to be an expert at it. You just got to be willing to have that conversation. So the event is, and I've got the link to the website to the Redwood Speedway. Do you still have tickets? And if so, how do you get a ticket? Do you have to come to the gate to get the ticket? Can you get them online?
Either way. So I do have them available online, and they're available online until Saturday. And then they're just available at the door. There's an ATM on site, but we do not take credit cards at this time. So if you are coming and want to buy tickets at the door, that's totally fine. It's just cash. And then we do have full concessions as well. So there's plenty to eat there.
And so where do you, to get the tickets online, do you go to your website, or is there another link that you go to?
I'm not sure if you can get them. I don't know if I have that linked or not. It's been kind of a whirlwind, just starting this year.
Yep.
I know there's a website called My Race Pass.
Okay.
And it's actually an app or a website, and you can search our speedway, and there you can get tickets for sure. I know that's where our ticket platform is. So.
Okay. All right. And we'll put that on our social media stuff as well. So
perfect.
Tickets are available. If you're a race fan, if you're not somebody who is a race fan but wants to be involved in helping to talk about suicide, you've always wondered what it's like to go to a dirt track oval. I'm going to be there on Sunday. I hope you'll consider joining us. It is a race for suicide awareness, Sunday, September 15th. One of the things that I've asked people as we kind of end these conversations, Velvet, is to make sure that as we kind of end the calls to talk about hope, and kind of deliver a message about hope. And you obviously are doing that with what you're planning on doing on Sunday. But do you have any kind of messages that are important for you as you talk to people, that you would say, here's something to be hopeful for and to think forward about, in something that you think it'd be helpful to share with people that may be thinking that, boy, things are kind of tough, and I somebody who's looking for hope. Anything you want to say to folks?
I guess that's kind of hard one for me. I'm not sure. I don't, like you said earlier, but it's uncomfortable to talk about kind of. But I know one thing that I've tried in my past, and hopefully it's made a positive impact, is just to, like, we had a guy here at my work, my regular job, who was talking about it often and making us all a little bit nervous. And we just kept telling him, like, the different positives in his life and how it's not all negative and he can get through all this. And there's so many resources out there for that, anybody that's struggling, and just being kind to him, and I mean, talking to him more, and explaining, hey, what about so and so, and maybe they really count on you, and noticing, like, hey, your daughter really looks up to you, kind of just explaining that stuff to him and hoping that it makes a difference. And I guess that's all you can do, really.
Well, that is a lot. Okay, that conversation you had with him is a lot. And those are the kind of conversations that we need to have for folks, and remind them that they're loved, that people care about them, that there are better days ahead, and that's an important message to deliver to people. It's also important to let them know that if they're struggling with a crisis or they just need somebody to talk to, they can call or text 988. That's a 24-hour day, 7-day a week, 365 day a year resource. It's private, it's confidential. There's trained people on the other end of that line that can help you, that can talk to you, that can listen to you. And if you're somebody who knows somebody who may be struggling, you should also take an opportunity to call or text 988. So, Velvet, I want to thank you for reaching out to us. I am really excited about being there and being a part of this and sharing some of the work that we're doing and have the opportunity to talk about how all of us can help make a difference in helping save a life. And I appreciate you taking the leadership as an organization to help your community by having this Race for Suicide Awareness Day.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for getting back to me too. I really appreciate that as well. And we're happy to have you guys. So.
All right. Fabulous. We'll be in touch later on today. Thanks, Velvet.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye.